You are listening to the Red Roots podcast.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody doing well?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be hot today. So start off by apologizing to the listener. I don't know if they can hear these fans, but we don't have air conditioning here. And the heat index was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 32 degrees Celsius. Look at me. I'm educated.
Did you prep for that, or did you
No,
just know
I know
that?
what it is because it's there's certain points. Anyways, see, it's 100 degrees, the heat index, right? 100 degrees at 9 a.m. this morning. It's 9 o'clock. It's after 9 now, so that means it's probably hotter than that. But that's what it is. And so no AC in here, and we're on the second floor, so it can heat up a little bit. So, yeah. So if you hear zzz constantly in the background, and if you're watching, you can always notice it in the lights, like on our, because it's like this flashing, but it's because the ceiling fan is over us. Anyways, I mean, I just don't want people to be like, what's wrong with the noise in the back, you know?
Yeah.
Just right off the bat.
You're so thoughtful.
Like, it's hot. And so I don't want to think that we're that, you know, bad quality where they just, you know what I mean, just put up anything. So, you guys had a good week. Anything important happened this week? Past week?
What happened?
I don't know. It goes by so fast. Like
Weeks merge into one.
It
Because I think now as well with like kids play games over the weekends now. So it used to be like, okay, the week kind of ended like after church kind of thing on like a Sunday morning, and then you got a couple of days to recover. Whereas now like just all Saturday, all Sunday, there's still football. So it's
fluid.
It just everything merges into one.
Yeah.
So
I mark it by church.
yeah,
That's real. I mean, like, we had church 2 days ago. And so what happened? That's why I always talk about, because that's the thing that I remember specifically, because it's the only thing that kind of goes in order of like, okay, what happened on Sunday? That's my first thing to go to because it's the only day I really remember. Every other day is pretty much just alike, like, you know, kind of.
Every other day is you prepping for Sunday.
Pretty much. Like doing
So
church
Sunday
stuff or whatever.
is the day.
Yeah. It's like my Super Bowl every week. Like, it's my game. Maybe not Super Bowl. It's my game every week, you know. You're preparing, and then it's time. See, it does all run together, though. But this week is an important, to some people, I think, important day in the United States. It is Thanksgiving. Do you know what American Thanksgiving is?
no, we know it from the movies.
What do you
and
think
that's
it
about
is?
It's a time where all the family gathers together.
Yeah.
They have a big meal.
Yeah.
They'll have an argument either before or during the meal.
Gotta have the argument.
Then they'll watch the American football game.
Yeah.
And then at some point during that American football game, everyone will make up, and, you know, maybe the grandma or the grandpa will shout something like, this is the one time of the year to be together.
Wow,
And
that's real
everyone then
Hallmark.
comes back.
This is when it's the time of year when Barbara brings her new boyfriend to the table. And,
You forgot one very important thing. Is the nap after?
well, that's not.
After
But
you
he
eat.
doesn't know. That's not in the movies. They don't do that.
They don't take. Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So do you have turkey?
Yeah. Traditionally.
So you have turkey on both Thanksgiving and Christmas? Because no one likes turkey that much. to have
Yeah,
it
no.
twice a year.
I mean, my family, I don't. Every once in a while, we'll do turkey on Christmas, but it's not like a staple. Thanksgiving is just a staple. It's what you do. My family puts hot sauce all over it because, turkey's not like.
Super dry.
It's just not the best flavor. Even if it's moist, like if it's perfectly cooked, it doesn't taste bad. It's just turkey. It is what it just tastes like. Oh, okay. All right, now give me the sides. You know what I mean? It's like about this. Thanksgiving is about the sides. But do you know what we're like celebrating on that day?
Thankfulness.
I feel like we should sing a song.
No, that's not.
All right. Well, I have a sister-in-law. She's awesome. Every time we got together, she would want to sing a song. Do you know the name of the song?
Nope, I don't. So
I can't remember.
Is it something to do with
Not Imago Dei,
Pilgrims
it's
as
like-
well? The word Pilgrims is coming to mind.
Yeah, and Pilgrims are Englishmen. So this is a part of your history.
Yeah, something we started, was it?
So I mean, it's supposedly, honestly, and now it's even a point of not contention, but like of course everything is being argued now. But like Pilgrims came to the United States, or at the time colonized. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to get into the depths of that conversation, but it is what it is. Nothing was discovered. It was colonized. Okay, not okay, but for the conversation, it's okay. And then it was like this moment of where they were thankful because supposedly there was at least a group of, and it's just, in historical documents when there was like no Twitter and Facebook, we can't go back and see what they were posting and see what they really were. Like, supposedly they came in search of religious freedom, like to be able to worship as they pleased and stuff, stuff like that. And so they came and, they were able to set up some settlements and stuff in the United States. Anyways, it's supposed to be like a day we just celebrate. We're thankful for what God is. And we know in that period of time, the things that we gave God credit for weren't always things that God probably wants credit for. But, that's what it's technically more or less about. I'm sure I'm leaving out some or forgetting some facts. Because you learn about this when you're a kid, and then you just kind of like every year you just kind of do your own. Every family kind of has their own traditions and stuff. And so it kind of turns into, it is a national holiday, but it kind of turns into a personal or like a personal holiday, not personal, but like in your own family. Like each family kind of has their way of doing things. There are some traditional things. Turkey, football is typically on the television in the afternoon because there's traditional, like the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, they will play on Thanksgiving. I don't know why, but it stinks if you get picked on one of these teams or you sign because you're going to miss Thanksgiving or anyways. So you play and there's different teams that switch other than that, but those teams traditionally always play on Thanksgiving Day. And the turkey stuff and all that, and but it's technically about people's gratefulness. England. What is it? What am I saying? The English people who came. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, they're grateful for basically this provision of this new land. If we go past that, we'll get into another thing. But like they're grateful for new opportunity and like God has looked over them. He definitely has to this point because it's a weird thing. You got to think they're coming into a place that most people had no idea existed, besides the people that lived here already for years and years and years. But they didn't know, and they're leaving England. Like it's a big decision. We're going to leave, and obviously Christopher Columbus had been on this side of the world. He didn't go there, and so people had come, but like they decided to come. We're going to start over, and we're going to do our own thing or whatever. And it was at least at some point like they made it and they got started and whatever. And so something to celebrate success. Now we put in the pictures that like. You see the natives and you see like everybody's just happy eating around the table, and I don't know if it was like that or not, but I know the things that followed were not so friendly. They were at each other's throats for some obvious reasons, I guess. But so that's more or less Thanksgiving. But now it has definitely not changed, because people just like they get upset about that now, about like, well, they just came and killed all the natives, and which is unfortunately pretty true. But equally, we can still be thankful, and you know what I mean. Like we don't have to necessarily celebrate what they did. We can still have a day, at least one day out of 365, sometimes 366 days, be thankful of just really focus on. One day probably isn't enough, but so that's what it's about, and that's the beginnings of the origins of it more or less, and then it's turned into like, hey, let's just be thankful and let's focus on what we're thankful for.
Would you say it's the biggest like national holiday in the States? Which is bigger than Christmas?
No, I don't think it's bigger than Christmas. I think I don't know. Thanksgiving is an event, like in because now for a lot of people they're not even thinking about being thankful. What do you think for? This food, like it's about just eating and like just like eating good food, and most people don't have to pay for it. Like so, what I mean? They're just going to grandma's house or aunt whoever's house, and they don't have to pay. And taking plates at home, that type of stuff.
And it's food that you would typically only eat once a year. Most of the time it's these special dishes that you anticipate.
They're more work. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're throwing some green beans or, a salad. Oh, let me cut the salad. It's not necessarily that simple. Like everything is a lot more work. All the dishes are more. And every family does have traditional dishes. Like some people eat pecan pie for Thanksgiving. You'll see pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. But then
sweet potato pie.
Yeah, sweet potato pie. Sweet potato. Is that the name of it? Sweet potato pie. You see that, and
I mean, in my family, we'll do like arroz con gandules, rice and beans, and like pig, pork. And so it just depends on your family, right?
Yeah. Wait, is sweet potato pie a black thing?
I believe it is.
Because I remember anytime I would go to like someone else's house that wasn't black, it would be pumpkin pie, but I don't ever remember anyone making pumpkin pie when I was a kid. Like, I mean, my white friends, their parents would make pumpkin pie, but I don't remember any of my family members ever making pumpkin pie. It was always sweet potato pie. Gotta do some research.
But if you want to know what a typical family serves during Thanksgiving, you can listen to gospel singer Shirley Caesar. She has a song out about it.
Well, those are black. That's a black family. What did she say? Greens,
beans, tomatoes, potatoes. Yeah, something. You name it.
Yeah,
you name it. Like, everything.
Yeah, but I mean, and like for some people, it is a nice dinner. Like we sit down and we have enjoy a nice family dinner, and but like I mean, for my family, it is it is all you can eat. That's really the idea. It's you come, he comes, whoever, if you're connected to our family, if you're not connected to our family sometimes, it's like, who is this guy sitting here? It's like, oh, I thought he came with you. Like, no one knows who he is. Nah, that's an exaggeration. Maybe. But it's just like a time of celebrating and being together and celebrating like familyness, oneness, like just being able to get together and just having, being hungry is the least of your worries, So my family, they'll eat at 2:00-ish. It's kind of a weird time to eat, but the way that you're eating is to eat like around 2:ish. And I mean, everybody who's there eats their fill. Some people go beyond, And then, you just hang out for a while and you talk, you catch up with your uncles, cousins, brother, whoever, nephews, nieces, all that. And you kind of hang out for a while. And football's on TV, so you kind of watch that a little bit. And then you go back and, you eat some more because, there's so much food. And then there's leftover food. And sometimes people come from out of town. And so the next day you're like heating stuff up. Because it's, like she said, it's stuff that like, oh, my grandma's special whatever. It's my grandpa, no one makes this like him. And so it's your one chance to get that. And so it's like, I don't know. And so it's a very interesting day. Anyways, that brings us into. Did you have any more questions? Because these are good questions.
Nope. I think
because everybody doesn't. You know what I mean? It's good questions.
I think that covers it.
So he's like, it's just a day about eating.
I learned a little bit about the history because I never really understood. They'll give you like a little coloring sheet with miniature pilgrim looking, like not even full adult looking pilgrims. They're like only kids or like smashed up versions of people.
Where did you get that?
At school, they gave us pictures.
Every year they gave you a miniature pilgrim.
After a certain year, they stopped.
But
teaching.
You consistently got.
I consistently got coloring sheets
of miniature pilgrims.
It would be like a miniature turkey to color.
You mean miniature as in the picture size?
No, like the picture will have a full size, it'll be a full coloring sheet, it's not just a little turkey to color, a little pilgrim girl to color. It was like a full one, but it was like a cartoon version. You ever see the little toys of the little people? The little people toys?
No.
I mean, they're like, for instance, the Lego people, okay. Like they're well, I guess if you blew up a Lego, you'll have to Google it, but it's like a full grown
miniature turkey pilgrim.
It just everybody ends up just looking like a baby.
Okay.
But it's weird. I don't know where they got it from.
Philadelphia education, man. That public school.
And they just left us.
Yeah.
To learn on our own.
We did turkey projects. You always do these turkey projects. And now we would get in trouble for some of the stuff. I'm just thinking about this. Some of this. it literally just clicked in my head. Like, this is not like now in today's day. It's not okay. Like, but we made like it's cultural appropriation stuff or whatever. Like every year we would make like it was under the teacher's direction, so it wasn't like us just being like. It was the project, is you made like this headband and you put feathers in it and stuff, and like because you were trying to be like a native, like.
And, and don't allow them to organize a dance for like a.
Oh gosh! And like making up native dances and stuff,
Yeah.
and like so we're like I remember as a kid we're running around with these like so we think native headgears made out of paper, and like shooting fake arrows at each other. It just like we just had. I'm not even gonna go any further, but
Yeah.
I literally just realized like, oh, this is not the way we're portraying people. You know, is maybe not a good positive thing, but it was very normal. I mean, this is in school. Like this, it was very normal. I don't think they do that anymore. I'm pretty sure they don't do that anymore.
I know I'm part of several homeschooling groups on Facebook, and that was a hot topic this week. Hey, anyone have some good information, good activities to teach my children about Thanksgiving? And I'm just like,
Google?
Oh.
I mean, Wikipedia?
I mean, I know, right? Pinterest.
YouTube?
But I don't know. I guess that's the argument. Like, do you teach your children now with the true events of the day, or you just kind of keep it light? Like what you understand? What are you grateful
the
for?
events of the day where they were eating together. So that's not like.
I mean, like
how's it
the
keeping it light?
the roots of.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's
why?
not. See, and that's the thing is like I think I get like where people come from and like being like, hey, we need to know the truth about. But it wasn't the truth about that day. Like that day was a day people were grateful, regardless of. But like the whole event of colonizers coming and colonizing was wrong. It just was wrong. And so I think we can separate that from Thanksgiving. Like, yeah, what they did wasn't separate from Thanksgiving because it was all like, you know, it's them connected. But okay, we can say this is wrong the way that this was done, and like colonizing and supremacy. I mean, it is what it is, right? And basically, you know, almost wiping out entire tribes. Eventually, maybe not been those particular people, but that was the cause of that, wiping out entire tribes and stuff. But we can say, okay, on this day we celebrate being thankful. And years ago, yes, they celebrated being thankful. But I feel like that's American history. That whole that's what I don't understand is why people just point out Thanksgiving to want to talk about that stuff. Because like this is the day that we can breathe and talk positive. And the other 364 days, this should be part of yeah. This is stuff that happened. America was founded on this. And like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it doesn't matter if we accept it or reject it. Like, this is the truth. And so, but I don't know why we wait until Thanksgiving to talk about that. I guess because the portrayal is of happy, you know, natives and happy, like, Europeans, everybody just happy and around the table. And I guess, yeah, there's that Disneyland portrayal of it, I suppose, that people are opposed to. But like I said, now I think we've all, like, kind of taken it on and it's, you know, it's a day to be thankful, and you're never wrong for having a day to be thankful. I have friends who refuse to celebrate it now, which, I mean, I'm not gonna refuse to be thankful. Like, I mean, and that's an extreme. My reaction is extreme, probably, but like a day to celebrate with my family, and then where we really do. We're thanking God and like just really focusing on His goodness to us throughout, you know, our entire lives, and even the generations of us as African Americans. Like His goodness is that we can at least have good enough jobs where we can buy this food and we can own houses and we can, you know, and so we're not celebrating America. We're not celebrating supremacy or colonialism or genocide. I mean, that's not what we're celebrating God's goodness and faithfulness through the midst of all this dark history that we have, that God has still seen a way to, you know, provide for us and make way for us to at least advance somewhat, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I just always something to be thankful for, you know? Yeah.
Did you wear the shirt on purpose?
I didn't. Oh, cover that up. No, I didn't. I mean, yeah, I wore this shirt on purpose, but not because of Thanksgiving stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so back to that. So that brings us to what we want to talk about today. Just want to talk about gratefulness. And like, so what are some things that you guys are grateful for, that you're thankful for?
On the mission field or in general in life? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, anything. It's Thanksgiving week, so let's just, whatever. I mean, yeah, both. Both, right?
I think my sending church, I'm very thankful for them. I had a Zoom call with them on Sunday morning. And it's like, obviously, it's difficult because you can't speak to everyone all the time. You can't Zoom call into the Sunday church every single week. I think there's a time difference, and logistically, it doesn't work. So sometimes you can feel quite disconnected or like out of the loop as to what's going on. But it was really nice on Sunday just to be able to be back, you know, see everyone's faces. I gave a short presentation, like on some of the work that we do here, just to keep it fresh in people's minds, and some of the plans for the future as well. telling them about my plan to return and things. And they've said that they'll continue to support me for however long that I'm out here for, which is amazing. But yeah, just having that, seeing people's faces and being, saying that, they're proud of the work that I do out here, that they support me, that they pray for me.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you have that, although you don't hear it every single day, and I don't need to hear it every single day. But just to know that I do have that support, back home, looking out for me, people praying for me, thinking about me, and generally curious as to what, how I'm getting on here as well. Yeah.
That's a warming feeling when people sincerely care, because sometimes it feels like people ask and then it's like, they're like, oh, I didn't really want to know. Like, this guy's just talking, but yeah, so that's awesome. I was wondering how it went, like overall, like how you felt about it and stuff, but I didn't get a chance to ask you in depth because you didn't come eat with us on Sunday. But yeah, so you got something? I know you got more stuff, but go back and forth.
I've got several also. I guess my first one would be I'm thankful to God.
There's zero pressure and there's no order. Like I don't think anyone's listening like, oh, she should have said this first. Like it's not priority. It's just,
I'm just thankful that I guess as I get older, God has been opening up my eyes to just revealing who he is, and before I just knew him as a good God, and I think as I've gotten older, I've known him as a present God in the midst of the hurt and pain and trials, like in the midst of life, and I'm thankful that even though we're so far away from family, that I can still have that, I guess, one, a support system, and you and friends here, and two, God who keeps me. That's it.
That's it. Your whole list. Yeah. I think that is an important thing to reflect on. Is like just God's goodness, and his faithfulness through the ups and downs that we've had in the past, really our whole lives. But the older you get, the more bad stuff happens. That sounds weird, but like because you're getting older and adults and like adults drive and they stop growing, so their body tends to have more, And so people like there's breakdowns and heart attacks and
your friends lose babies.
Adults use other adults start using drugs and stuff, and so you see there's more tragedy and your adult life isn't just in general. There's more stuff that happens and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah, that's.
So about tragedy, then laugh.
No, it's because it's cut, and we're trying to pick up where we left off.
Act like nothing happened.
I can see on Simon's face, and
this is awkward.
It's like, wait a minute, where was this going again? It's anyways. No, my point was is like when you're an adult, like you see more bad stuff happen. One, you're attentive. Two, we living in the like informational boom or whatever, so you can see more stuff happening outside of your small circle. But two, like you're saying, it's like people get sick more and not more, but like as an adult, adults tend to have more, like I said, accidents and such. Like they're working, they're driving and whatever, and so you there's more of a chance that someone that something happens. And in the midst of that, like it's awesome to see that God's faithfulness even through that. I think. The tendency of non-believers is to say that God isn't faithful because that happens, but on the other end of it, we see that God is faithful even through that, and even using that stuff. Because like even some of the stuff that like me on a personal level that have like just really I felt was going to destroy me and damage me, just personal loss and stuff like that, has been the same thing that God has used as a stepping stone, like catapult me not into some like big, that's not what I mean in that way, but like into becoming just a better person, a better like man of God, a better father, husband, friend, better leader, just more serious about taking things that, taking my job more seriously and stuff. And like, cause through that whole like now, like I work, like that's not, and I think I've always been a hard worker. That was one of the things that was instilled in me as a kid. But now I'm not just a hard worker; I'm a focused worker, and so like I'm like going somewhere. But that is a result of some of the loss that we've experienced. and like just perspective that comes from that. And it's very weird because you don't celebrate loss, but you are joyful in the midst of it because you know that God is going to use this for his glory through you and it's going to work in my favor, which is a weird thing, I think, to a non-believer to hear that because it sounds almost like we're happy that tragedies happen. That's not the case, but literally what it is that we can't lose. Like everything works for our good, to his glory, but for our good, you know. And so, you know, we rest in that and we have hope all the time in that. And the worst case scenario is that we die. And we still have hope in that. That is our ultimate hope, even is in our death. You know, it only comes by death for most of us, and you know, until Jesus returns or whatever. But you know, so I like to take time to just really be thankful and grateful of that, and just kind of just focus on the goodness of God through the ups and downs of life. He has been consistent, you know. And so, anyways, I just piggybacked off what you said. One thing I'm thankful for my family here. I mean, my whole family, but my family here, like Melinda and the girls. You know, Melinda is not like we live here. It's not. Oh, Ramon wants to live here, and so Melinda is just. You know what I mean? Like it's not like my kids don't feel like they're imprisoned, having to live here. Like it is an adventure. Like this is where they live. They don't have. I don't know that they even have another perspective on it. You know what I mean? But you see them out in the neighborhood all the time walking to get what do you call those things?
Frappuccino. Yeah,
but in English, it's like it's not really. It's like a snow cone, basically, is really what it's like. I guess more or less. Anyways, going to get colds. Like you know what I mean? Just living their little life or whatever, walking around the neighborhood and just enjoying their life, man. And that's so I don't know. I'm really grateful for that because everybody doesn't step into it like that for different reasons. It's not, it's not someone's fault. It's just that some people just don't. There's different pages that people, are on and stuff sometimes, and it doesn't work out that way. So I'm really grateful for my family, not for supporting me in this, but for it's us supporting each other in this, And I think there's a space for both, but I think it's easier and better for us to have space for both. Better for us to be. We're supporting each other, and it's not my family. My family does support me, just for the record, and especially in church work and in office work, definitely supports me in that. But overall, of us being here, it's us here. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool. And so, really grateful for that. I think it's something special, and I know that it's unique. And I'm fully aware of the uniqueness of our situation, of us all being on not just on one accord, because I don't want to make it like other families who aren't like this are in disaccord. That's not. But just really aligned, I guess is the right word. Very, very aligned, and there's probably going to come a time when, somebody's Melinda or myself or the girls will definitely I want to live in the United States, or I want to do this, or I want to move to whatever, and this is part of life. But for the time being, we're very aligned in the sense that. Not of are we going to live here? No, it's that we do live here. Where I think we're very aligned in that. And now there's some different areas in our life that I think we can develop more to be able to engage and enjoy our lives more here. But equally, the first step of that is recognizing that this is where we live, and not this is where we live. This is where we live. And this is where we chose to live, and we are here fully, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, just connected and plugged in and a part of, that system or whatever. So. Yeah, it's something I'm grateful for. Are you gonna say something? No. So what else you got, man?
I think I'm thankful that I have a job that I'm excited to get up for, every morning. I think that's the.
You wake up.
You wake up excited of what's going to happen. I think it could be a separate thing, but even. I wake up and I'm thankful for living here. You get up and there's parrots flying above, the skies are blue, sun's shining, it's hot, it's warm. I love that. I wake up happy. Unless it's raining, then I wake up miserable. If it's cold and wet, then I'm not that happy. But the 355 days of the year when it's hot, when you wake up, I'm excited. I'm excited about what the day has planned, what work could happen, what things could be discovered, what relationships will be built, what possibilities there'll be. Because I feel like things happen so quickly. You wake up, I'll come in the office, and we have a piece of property now. And you're like, okay, well that was stage 5, and now we're still in stage 1, but we jumped that one.
It's so unpredictable.
It's you don't know what's going to happen, but you know, and for a long time, I think in my life that would have scared me, you know, waking up and not really knowing what's going to happen. But now it's what gets me out of bed. It's what gets me excited, because it's like the possibilities are endless. The opportunities are as many as you want to take.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that you want to do and you've got the drive and the support to do it, you can do it here. You know, you can achieve it. It'll be hard work and it will take a long time in some cases. But you when you're fully invested, as you were saying, when you're fully invested in a place and you grow to love it, then you're like, I want to work here. I want to see change here. I want to see transformation here. And so to get up every day with that being the goal of, okay, we want to bring transformation to this community. We want to build God's kingdom here. To have that as a job is just like incredible. To wake up every morning and be like, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to be part of. You know, I'm thankful for that, because I've had other jobs in the past which I've enjoyed, which I've liked. But they get, you know, you get tired of them or you want change. Whereas it's like the whole 2 years I've been here. Like, I mean, that's why I'm planning to come back in the future, because it's like, I'm excited to be here. And I'm thankful for that.
I think that having that puts so much into perspective for you too, because then you endure the heat even though it gets hot and annoying, or the sun burnt your back or neck, you know, or you endure the power outages because
that was awful the other day.
I mean, I was looking up at the ceiling.
I mean, I felt like my beard grew 6 inches. So just for background, I know we're getting off, but this is what we do. Like, what was it? What day was it? Saturday. The power was out like all day. And the power goes out periodically, but I guess we've been spoiled here recently, and I mean, we've had a good run, you know? And so, like, it was all day Saturday, and usually they're not that long, the power outages, and I just, you know, I'm a spoiled brat, I realized. It's like, I mean, I almost just took my shirt off and put on, like, you know, like, started living in building a treehouse or something. Like, that's what it felt like. It's like, oh, no internet, no power. It's the end of the world. I felt like it was apocalyptic. Yeah.
Do you do this thing where you go around like turning on all the lights just to double check?
Yeah.
Just go from room to room, just being like, well, maybe this room has
every
power.
5 minutes.
I do this thing where I panically run outside to see if a motorcycle or worker from the power company came and shut our power off, because I lose track of the months.
She goes and pays the bill.
Here you have to go in person to pay the bill. You can't just like set it up or pay, you know, for the next 3 months. I like to just leave this credit here so that, you know, you can handle. No, you have to go every month and pay, and they'll cut you off after 2 months. And I was just like, how long has it been?
First thing we do is ask the neighbors, is your power out too?
Yep. I run.
It's sometimes like, because neither of us paid. Like, so everybody's hopping and running to go pay. Yeah, it's a hassle. But I mean, I think, that's a good point. It's like your perspective changes. Your situation never changes. You notice that? Like, there's not much. It's very, very rare is the occasion where your situation changes, because you are who you are. You know what I mean? And like, but it's your perspective that changes. And I think what you have is a healthy perspective of being here, because nothing's changed from your worst day here. Nothing has changed except for your perspective. You know what I mean? And so I think, but that's a good space of like mental health and like spiritual health, and that's what happens when you like kind of contribute to those things and keep yourself healthy, and really guard your thoughts and stuff like that too, because you always want what you don't have. You know, like, I mean, if we all said, okay, this is it, next week we're all moving back to our respective countries, we're gonna have a blast for 2 or 3 months, and then it's gonna start like, man, I remember when we used to, you know what I mean? And like, you're going, and so you always kind of want what you don't have. And so, but that's what gratefulness is being like focusing and being satisfied. It's contentment, you know what I mean? Being content with what you have, and not complacency. It's contentment. I'm going to be grateful with this. I am happy and seeing the good and you know, seeing the positive in things and stuff. So that's really good perspective, because I feel the same way. I'm grateful to live here. I'm grateful that God has chose me to be a part of this community, and not just this work, but just a part of this community and stuff. And there's stuff that happens that definitely gets on my nerves, but like equally the stuff that happens that gets on my nerves at home, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of times we deceive ourselves by thinking because things get on my nerves here, I'll go back to the thing, because we only remember the positive in that sense, and you go back and now, you know, it's even worse than, or at least equal to, because it just is what it is. And so, but healthy perspective can does lead to gratefulness. I always will. If your perspective is healthy, regardless, you will be grateful for something. And you will be able to give thanks in all things. And, you know, whenever trouble comes your way, count it all joy and all these other things. And so, what about you? What else?
I am thankful for growth in our family, like especially, I know my personal growth, but I have to credit a lot of it to your leadership. And just like over the past few years, seeing you not grow up. I would say grow up. You know? I mean, you've always been.
I was 33 when I started growing up. Now I'm 30.
You were always a man in my eyes, but grow into your own, grow into the person that you feel completely comfortable being. You know, not hesitant to say this, not insecure to do this, or, you know, like just taking ownership of your decisions, and you're like, okay, this is my family, and taking responsibility for us and our personal growth too, and push and having to find that balance between encouraging and pushing, you know, because that's a hard thing to do. And a lot of times, like, I know I feel like a lot of times that person who has that role can become the bad parent, you know, because you're always like setting guidelines and rules so that we can grow, you know, as me as your wife and the girls as your children and us as a family unit, you know, like we can't leave somebody behind, you know. It's like, oh, they don't want to grow, I'll do it by myself, you know. It doesn't work as a family unit. And so just you, outside of everything else that you balance in ministry, just making sure that you are present in the girls' lives, making sure you're present in my life, and hearing me and hearing the girls out with all of our many problems. Have you lived with all females? Yeah, you have a mom and a...
Well, he's a dad, though, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a mom.
You have a mom and a sister. No, yeah. So it can get complicated.
But you're familiar with, you know, like the differences.
But just seeing your growth and your... you become who and continue to become who God has called you to be, and step into the roles that before you were uncomfortable in stepping into, and uncomfortable in even saying, I'm good at this. Now you identify like, yeah, I feel like I'm really strong in this area, and I don't know, seeing your growth and encouraging us to grow as a family. I'm really thankful for that, because I am by nature just super duper lazy and can be complacent and then fall towards just being, hey, what you doing today? I don't know. Yeah, whatever happens, you know, not setting any goals. Just naturally, I will be okay with that, you know, which we all know has really bad side effects or really bad results come from just not striving.
Not even side effects.
Yeah, really bad effects of not striving for anything, right? Yeah. And so I'm thankful for you.
Cool.
Yeah. Cue the oh.
I mean, I don't know. It's always awkward.
Like,
to
follow.
Yeah. No follow up. Yeah, I'm a great man.
Or I know I'm terrible. That's all lies. Like, you can't say. No, I think a lot of like my growing up. Like, and I told you yesterday. Like, I realized like I noticed that I'm growing up. Like, and that's a weird thing to say, but I think it does come through God. I know it comes through God's faithfulness. But equally, it comes through brokenness, man, of being jacked up and realizing that I'm not enough. And that is a scary, scary moment in your life. Because if no one's ever been at a point where they've thought that they're doing good, like, you know what I mean, on their own, they're lying to you. Like, if they tell you that, they're lying to you. Because I think we've all been there. And even if it's subconsciously. But just through brokenness and stuff. And, like, I mean, for me, it was like, again, I talk about this all the time, and I know if people that don't understand, maybe like, man, that was 5 years ago. But like, it was a big deal. It's like the whole thing with my brother when he got sick and we were away, and then he passed away, and it was like that destroyed me. Like but it's like this weird vulnerable place that God allows you to be in. He does allow you to be in, and it's like it's not testing your faith, but your faith is tested. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all the hubbub we've been talking. You know, now it's time for the rubber to meet the road, and like you really have to. And it's scary because you're like, man, at the end of this, am I going to still be a believer? Like, and there's a moment when I'm like, I don't know. But I'm searching, I'm looking, I'm trying to learn how to trust in God and whatever. And it's weird because he used that, to like in a weird way to mature me and make me realize that I'm inadequate, but equally that I'm eternally adequate in him. And so like there's rest in that of like to not have to, and it has slowly, and I mean, you've seen it like the good and the bad and the ugly of my growth, but like I've stepped more into these leadership roles and stuff and accepted titles and stuff that I'm not into title. I'm still not into it, but like now I'm like, oh, okay, I don't. Yeah, sure. Who's in charge? Me? Like I'll say that now. Like and it's not about me being like boastfully in charge. It's about I see it from a different perspective of being responsible now. So when I hear who's in charge, I hear who's responsible, and so I'm like, oh, me. And I'm already gritting my teeth because I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, ready for a fight. That's still there. But, but you know what I mean? But equally ready to like defend myself or whoever is part, you know what I mean? If necessary or whatever. And kind of being in the mix. I don't know, but it's been a weird and terrifying transition because it's not something that I've been in control of. I'm in control of my obedience and my submission, and God is in control of everything else. And it's like, man, like, but look, when it's hurtful and scary, but then when you look back, you're like, oh yeah, I am handling this in a better way than I would have handled it a year ago. You know what I mean? Or I am more patient now than I was a year ago. And I'm like, oh, this is the way that this is supposed to look. Like just now like kind of falling into it.
This actually works.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's what the Bible means when it says that, and like so on and so forth. And so it's been a very interesting, and that can be a very stressful thing if we take it on our own. It's like what you said, it's like being responsible for our family and for our growth. And then we have a church and we have this and we're, like you said, we're buying property and we're trying to fundraise, and like that can really be stressful. And there are definitely moments where it stresses me out, but it's like, it's not even like, when I realize that all of your compliments, I can't take credit for any of them. You know what I mean? It's only the faithfulness of God and the work that he's been doing through me, through the nastiest and darkest time of my life. And this is like, oh, this is how good God is. Like we say God is good all the time, all this stuff. I know you don't do that, but like you've seen in the movies or something. And like, typically black movies. But, like we say that and then it's like, oh, for me, and I'm not saying everybody has to go through some tragic moment or whatever, but that reality was the reality of it was actually reached through a nastiness and brokenness when I was good for nothing. To myself, to you, to my kids, to you. Had you been here, or had we been together, because we weren't even here, had we been together, I would have been worthless to you. I would have been worthless to because that's literally who I am when I depend on myself. And that's what I was doing in my hurt and my struggle and my pain, is I was depending on myself and my ability to maintain a strong faith or relationship with God. And when I couldn't do that anymore, then I realized like how good God is and how powerful he is, that reaching out to me, holding me, keeping me, planning and pushing me along. And the irony is I came back stronger. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Not me stronger, but him stronger. I'm dying to myself and really allowing him to grow through me and whatever. It's just a very weird thing. And I know it sounds like, oh yeah, you're talking about yourself, but I'm really not. Like, I'm not bragging. I'm bragging on the goodness of God and the faithfulness of God, because I'm amazed at, like, yesterday we had an issue with the car mechanic. I don't know if you're home, but we stand right outside Simon's window when I talk to people in the street. So it's like, you can hear everything, and I don't care because it's Simon. So I mean, I don't care that he knows. And so, but equally, like, there's a lot of stuff. But anyway, I would have historically like just lost it on this dude, and rightfully so. No one in the world, no one here would. Matter of fact, probably a little disappointed in me for not losing it earlier. But yesterday he came over, and like I was able to just talk to him as a brother in Christ, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm growing, because I'm like, man, God is doing a work in me, because like seriously, I would have choked him out like before, like, but I was able to literally through the power of the Holy Spirit, like to, love this dude in the midst of, and like we talk about the power of the Holy Spirit to like heal. And so we talked about this in church yesterday, to heal and grow legs and stuff like that. Great. And to speak in tongues, but great. No one's saying that. But the most powerful thing it'll do is inside of you. The transformation will take place inside of you. Not just to prophesy and those things, but to change you and make you and lead you, convict you into a lifestyle of love, of loving your neighbor, yes, but equally your enemy, the people that do you wrong and whatever. And it's powerful, especially when I hear myself, because in my mind, I'm like, should I choke him now or should I?
Oh, if you knew Ramon even 3 years, 2-3 years ago, you can ask Rudy when we lived in Cochabamba. Like, we already knew if we were all going out together, someone was going to pick a fight with Ramon, and they were going to ask for it.
I don't know why. It's like I had a sign on my head. It's not as much here in Cochabamba. It was awful, man. Like, people always want to mess with me. I always want to take advantage of me and stuff. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, I'm not the one. I'm not the one for these games. And so it's like,
it was so anxiety inducing. I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again.
Because I'm not afraid, and I think I hung my hat on that. I'm not afraid because I'm not afraid, and that's the problem sometimes. Is I'm not afraid of the person. That's great, but nor am I afraid of God and the reflection that I'm giving Him, and so that's problematic on that side. And so I think there's a healthy fear of God. And we talked about this a week or so ago, which is a weird thing, but I think there's a healthy fear of God now that allows you to develop into, a stable individual, And I'm not saying stable as in like I just walked around yelling at people. That wasn't the thing. It's like people literally like trying to take advantage of my wife, my kids, and my friend. Like that's a different. Yeah. Those are for me, even on paper, to anybody. I think they're valid reasons to be frustrated, but equally like be stable in the midst of everybody else's instability. Now that is a gift from God, and it's not my gift, but it's God. I mean, I guess it is, but like I'm the last person that could ever exercise that ever. So like for me now, I'm like. My expectations for everybody around me has raised because I'm like, if God can do this mighty work in me, and I see that He's doing this through me and being a witness to me through this stuff, then what can He do through everybody else? Because I legit see like you guys, all the three of you guys here, as way further, more talented, more able than me, like way more. And so, I mean, it's a bad omen, like a bad sign, I guess. Like the expectations for you guys, like what? Now I go back to square one. Why do you do this, Simon? Like why do you, But like I do, I see you guys more like smarter than me, more talented than me and whatever. And so I'm like, oh man, if God can do this in me, imagine what He can do in these guys. And so yeah, that's the push. And like you're saying, like pusher to encourager. I used to be a pusher, boy. Like my encouragement was pushing you in the right direction, like shoving you, violently shoving you in the right direction with words. And it came from a good place of encouragement, but just realizing that everybody doesn't respond to the way that you do to stuff, you know what I mean, or whatever. So yeah, so I don't know. God is really faithful, man, and it's just like, again, just taking time to brag on Him and His goodness and what He's doing, and then seeing through this process, like how, like He's began to, dare I say, bless me, which is something that I've not believed has been like we're talking about buying properties and stuff, and like that. I just have a subconscious belief that stuff never happens to me. Like it just doesn't, but here we are, again, it's God's faithfulness and stuff. And like me learning to get out of the way. Like, and the thing is, getting out of God's way is you've been empowered to get out of His way. So it's like not even something you can do on your own And like you can't even do that on your own. And so He's, I don't know, God is good and He's faithful. And so, I don't know, I understand what you're saying, but I like when you say that, and I appreciate it. But equally makes me reflect again on the goodness and the faithfulness of God, because I don't talk about this a lot to anyone, to publicly, but I do. I realize and I'm just awed at the work that God is doing in me, because I know who I am. I know exactly who I am. Like that's not, I'm not a person that's not self-aware. I'm fully aware, which makes me be more thankful to God and who He's become. Who He's making me into. God's becoming someone through me. Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
It's fine. I remember having a conversation with my brother, and he asked me a question, which at the time was really difficult. He said, if God didn't promise you heaven at the end of your life, would you still serve Him? And my pride was just like, yeah. Like I don't just serve Him because I get a reward for it, But now as I reflect, I don't just see the rewards of serving God as an eternal award. It is, but I've seen the evidence of the daily changes in our talk, the way we love people, and the way I respond to my kids when I'm frustrated, and the way that I can love my husband. And so that's the fruit of the Holy Spirit living in me. So if I don't, at the end of life, if God didn't have heaven for us, my answer to Him now would be yeah, because I see how much richer life is with the Holy Spirit, present, with God present, So.
It's good because it's still worth it, though either way. So you've grown a lot in the past 2 years. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's like, because sometimes you just don't. It's you, right?
Yeah,
so like I've always been like this.
Yeah, I think like the hard thing about it is like, as we were saying at the start, time goes so quick, and so like before you know it, like 2 years is done, and so it's like sometimes it's hard to stop and take a look back and like be like, okay, where did I start from and where am I now? Like, and sometimes it's scary as well because you're like, man, I've still got a long way to go.
Yeah. Because the more you grow, the more you realize that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the more you see, you become more self-aware. The more you see your good things, but also your bad things. And it's a process. It's a learning process, as we've been saying. But yeah, I mean that leads me on to one of the things another thing that I'm thankful for was the support network that I got here when I first arrived. Like that was vital for me. I've done previous trips to other places where I didn't have the support network, and at the end, people would joke with me and be like, "Yeah, we threw you in at the deep end, didn't we?" And it was like that's not how I learned to swim. Like, you don't just pick me up and throw me in and see if I make it. I need you to be in there with me. I need you to be teaching me and guiding me and things. And that's exactly what I got here. And I was nervous about that when I first came because like I didn't know anyone here. You didn't know me. And so it was like this weird situation where I'd arrived and yet I'm 100% dependent on the people around me who have no idea who I am and I have no idea who they are. But somehow we're going to have to form a relationship where they can help me grow, where they can teach me, guide me and things like that. And it's exactly what I got. It's exactly what I needed. Like there was never any pressure on me to become this super missionary day one. Like you turn up and say, okay, you're now in charge of this, and this, which previously has happened to me. I've first time I've walked into a church. In one situation, I walked in, they said, so you preaching today? And it's like, A, I don't even speak Spanish. And B, this is my first time at the church. Like, you don't know me, I don't know you. And the first thing you said to me is, so you preaching today? You preaching? And it was like just that level of expectation, like straight away. But whereas here it was like, okay, we're going to help you find your feet. We're going to let you get settled. We're going to sort things out. You're going to become part of our church. You're going to learn the ropes, like see how things work. And then as the months go on, we can find ways for you to get more involved and, and it was like 6, 7, 8 months before I felt, and then when the opportunity came along to become children's, like I was involved in children's work first, and then like when the opportunity came to take responsibility for it, I was like, yeah, for sure. Like I've been here 8 months, like we've walked together, we've learnt together. I know that I can still depend on you and rely on people. I was in the best place possible to be able to take over at that moment in time. Just thankful for that. Thankful for the patience, like people like Rudy, who's just been so patient from day one, taking me round anywhere, guiding me places, taking me to football, introducing me. Because he got like a million questions. Everywhere we went together, like he would get like a million questions about me that he would have to answer. And that just like must tire you out like every single time. Yeah. That you go somewhere with someone, people are just asking, who's he? Where's he from? Does he speak Spanish? Does he do this? Does he do that? He just wants to play football. Thankful for that support network from like day one. That's helped me like get to this position. That's helped me grow. That's helped me learn. And helped me develop. Yeah,
that's encouraging because we want people to come and enjoy, and it's not even just about enjoyment. We want people to come and feel like they belong.
Yeah.
And now, whether you want to belong long term or not, that's up to you. But like I think I told you this in the beginning, is we like our approach has just always been long term.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be for people who come. So we approach your situation, even though you could have left after 2 years, we still approached your situation long term because we felt like it was a better, and we will continue to do that to anyone because we feel like it's a better experience here. And get things in the right order, but equally to be able to you go back, even if you go back to London, I hope, and it's our expectation that some of the things you learned here some of the things that you grew in or whatever, and through that process can help you in anywhere you go and for the rest of your life. And so that was the idea. And so if you moved to Nigeria 2 years from your date, straight from here to Nigeria, it was our hope that like the way that we walked you through your first times here, that would have helped prepare you for Nigeria. Obviously, we wanted you to come back. I mean, obviously now we know what it is, but we wanted you to come back here. But equally, like being open and being cautiously unselfish, being cautious about being selfish, right? Like, oh, we're only going to pour into you if you're going to be here, because that's a tendency. If you're going to help us, and then like, so we had conversation even before you got here with Miguel, like, hey, let's just pour into this dude and like this glory of God, like let's build the kingdom, like in any way we can, like whatever. And so, I think everybody's been great with that for the most part. Obviously, there's always stuff, but for the most part, I think everybody's been great about that. I think your attitude's been really good too, and because it's one thing for people to be patient with you and patient with the situation that you find yourself, but you being patient as well and not giving up on that. Because you're not going to get mad at Rudy or me for the way people act, but equally, you can equally be impatient with the culture or whatever and just give up and go home. You know what I mean? Not give up and go home, but like at the end of 2 years, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? And like that's a very easy decision to make. And sometimes it may be the right one. That's the wrong reason, but it may be the right decision. But yeah, and so I don't know. It's good to know that works. If that, you know what I mean? I don't know if I can say it that way, but if that works and stuff. But and we wanted you to feel like that. We didn't. My concern initially is when we told you like, hey, we want to bring you along slowly. We want you to be a member of the church first. Is I know to some people that's offensive because they come to change and to work and whatever. And so I'm here ready to roll. And they tell me like be a member and like just hang out basically for a few months. It's like, well, I'm a world changer. You know what I mean? Well, you're going to be. But you got to change before you can change the world. And it's not that you're bad, but you have to learn how to adapt. And it's impossible to learn how to adapt on that level when you've never been thrown into a culture like that, apart from everything you've ever known. And so it's just part of the development to make you into, yes, a world changer one day. But that's not something that just happens by just, blank declarations and just wanting to be, and so a Trinidad changer in our case, I guess.
Yeah, I think like the good thing about it is it's all these things that you then want to pass on. So it's like, I don't know how long I'm going to be a missionary for, but if I'm here while other people come, and if the guy that wants to come next year is still planning to come, then it's kind of like, okay, I know I've felt both processes. I've felt the process where I've been left alone, isolated, and just chucked into a deep end, and I've had this process. And so it's like, okay, this is the process that works. This is the process that, that did me so much good and developed me into the person I am now. And so it's like that, having that awareness and cautious, okay, I need to pass this on. So the next missionary who comes down, it's like, okay, it worked with him the same way that people worked with me, and pass that on so that, and try and change, because try and change some of the missionary culture as well. Like, as you were saying, like the missionary culture isn't perfect. And for some people, it is a case of, we only want to develop you if you're going to help, like going to be part of our ministry, if you're going to work with us, if you're going to benefit us at the same time. But equally know that I'm at a higher level than you are. And it's like, I've experienced that where I've felt that, okay, I am lower than this missionary. And I've been made to be like fully aware of that. Like, hey, we're above you kind of mentality. Whereas, and like one of the things you said to me when I first arrived was like, hey, we want you to be like a better missionary than we were at this age. Like, we want you to go further and go beyond and be all that God created you to be, which is like the complete opposite mentality of like this. And so it's kind of like, the lessons that you learn, to be able to pass them on, and then hopefully affect future generations of missionaries that come down and try and change the missionary mentality.
Absolutely. Because it's about the kingdom, you know what I mean? At the end of the day. And it is hard. If you came on the first day and was like, I won't be here a day past 2 years, it would be very hard to invest in you. But, I mean, are we going to, you know what I mean? At that point, you got to make that decision about being, being faithful to the kingdom or faithful to our projects. And it's ultimately, it does stink on a personal level. I mean, not going to make it all spirit, but like it stinks on a personal level to pour into the kingdom and you don't even know, you're not going to see any of the results, whatever. But so, like, you know what I mean? That's faith. That's literally faith, is you're building God's kingdom. And so equally, all this is for not because you're staying. So that's or coming back, I should say. So that's great. But yeah, I think, I don't know, man, there's so much to be grateful for. in this. And this is a really good practice, I think. I'm glad we did this because it forces you to reflect, to slow down, and even on podcasts, and like just reflect on things that we're thankful for. And obviously we only mentioned like 2 or 3 things apiece. So there's a gazillion things. Obviously my parents and my greater family, and I got to throw it in because, like, you know, people are like, I didn't even grateful for, and just always being supportive of us, and like everybody that we know and that is a part of our life has been a consistent part of our life is part of this and our work here, and so definitely like my parents and my family and your family, like even in different ways, just a part of this, man, and like people just supporting us, encouraging us, and being there for us, and letting us stay at their houses when we go to the States, and you know, all of our supporting churches, man, like sticking by us when like we just, you know, felt like we weren't stick buyable, you know what I mean? Like, and just when we didn't even believe in ourselves, like calling and encouraging us and stuff. And man, people like send money, you know what I mean? Like to support the ministry and stuff, and not that, so that our family can survive as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's nice, and we can enjoy things. Like a church just sent us some Christmas money. And he said, like, man, you know, have fun, buy some fun stuff for Christmas, or take a family trip, something. And like, just that, man, it's such a special thing because our family is very important. And our family, I don't want to go overboard, but like we do need to enjoy different things, just mental stability, and be able to live here. Because if we lived in the States, we would enjoy simple things sometimes. So here, if we want to have that same level of mental stability and effectiveness, then we need to do that too. And so it's only possible because of the people who support us, man, and the work that God is doing through them, through us, through, you know, for his kingdom. And this is a global effort. What God is doing in Trinidad. Have you ever thought about that? Like what God is doing in Trinidad and what he's chosen to use us to do is a global effort of like people all around the globe, literally. God has shifted their focus and put on their heart this community in Trinidad to be able to come together and accomplish great things here, so that we can see a revival in the literal sense of the word, like a reviving of this community for God's glory. And so it's just really good and really special to be able to be at the center of this, you know, and definitely teaming up with our supporters, but even teaming up with you guys. Like, I think I get a lot of credit for stuff that goes on here, and unjustifiably so. People would never see what we do here if it wasn't for her. People wouldn't hear a lot of what we do here if it wasn't for you, because I'm so unsure about half of the stuff, you know what I mean? Just talking it through. And for him, the same thing, you know what I mean? Like, I would be out of control if it wasn't for you guys, probably at some point, you know what I mean? Like, and so to have that, like that team and stuff, and again, like people view me as the leader and whatever, and I'm, you know, fine, I'm okay with that. But equally, like, I think people on the outside don't really get how much of a family team, when I say family, I don't just mean our family, like Jolie and Jalen, because they're, at this point, they're not huge contributors in the ministry. I was going to say a more harsh word, but I'll just say they're not big contributors ministry-wise. I mean, they are in some sense. My neighbor like goes on and on about how thoughtful and aware they are of different situations and stuff, but, you know, they're not. It is what it is. But, I mean, you guys, you know, like, I mean, we are a team, and we're doing this together, and, like, you know, I'm very conscious about letting people know that it's not just me. I say that all the time because people try to give me credit for stuff, and but equally people don't hear that. They just, you know, I'm the one on the videos. I'm the one standing up on Sunday, but they don't see so much stuff. And so I don't know, God's faithfulness through all that, and so from my parents to our supporters to you guys, and like, you know, just us as a team, and the community and the chemistry that we've been able to form, even though we are all four of us are hugely different people. I mean, we definitely have stuff in common and stuff. Like, you speak English, we speak English. But you know what I mean? But like, we're just all different. Our personalities, they overlap in spaces definitely, but we're very different. And to see God glorified through this diverse group, a very diverse group of people, but to see God glorified through that way of a diverse group of people loving each other and being on one accord, even though we're nothing alike. And being able to put our differences to the side, not fights, that's not what I'm talking about, but with little differences. Like, put that secondary and be able to do things for the glory of God here. And to see God, almost feels like God has been like, okay, now, you know what I mean? And you see things, like you said, like, this is step 5, like, you know, whatever, phase 3, I think it was, or something. And like, we were at phase 1, we went to phase 3. Yeah. And then phase 4 slipped in behind on the media stuff and like, whatever. But you see God saying, okay, now I can work. It's like, but it's through us being unified and stuff like that. And just really reflected. So I don't know. I'm grateful for all that, man. And, I think, there's a million things more that we could mention. But those are things I definitely wanted to include, at least on the conversation, because they're very important. And I equally think if there is an aspiring missionary listening to this, whether it's today or whether it's 5 years from now, you find old videos and YouTube suggest you or whatever, like to really like remember that this is a village. This is not a village. This is a city work. You know what I mean? Like there's hundreds of people over the years, people who have supported us, who don't support us anymore financially, people who have never sent us $1 but pray for us faithfully. Like, you know what I mean? This is everybody playing these different parts. And obviously us being here, you know what I mean? But, God's faithfulness through all that. Just grateful for that. Grateful for what he's done up until this point, even the bad stuff, because it's made us into what we are now. But even grateful for what he's going to do. And I think what we all kind of feel and see coming down the chute, which is terrifying, but equally it's exciting, And so grateful for that.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Good talk. So anyways, I think we're done for the day. We're around the time. But yeah, so one thing I wanted to say before we head out is remember that we're moving the podcast. It's probably going to be the last podcast that we upload to the Red Roots channel. Actually, you know what? I'm probably not even going to upload this to the Red Roots channel. We'll probably just share the video on YouTube. But so we have another channel for the video podcast. If you want to watch that, it is on the channel's called
Red Roots Podcast.
Yeah, the channel's called Red Roots Podcast. It was a brilliant name. Very creative over here. No, but that's literally what it's called. But it's called Red Roots Podcast. So if you like to watch, if you listen, then continue on. Nothing changes. If you like to watch, then go subscribe to that channel. And you can see all the videos that we've done are up there since we started doing video. They're all up there already. And yeah, this week's as well will be up there too. So go subscribe to that Red Roots Podcast. The logo is the same. It just says podcast under it. Yeah, you can see that. So subscribe to that channel. Even if you don't watch, go subscribe and help us get to 100 so we can do some special stuff. You got to get so many subscribers before you can get certain privileges on YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, subscribe to the channel even if you're listening on Apple Podcast or what is the other one? Android, Google Podcast, SoundCloud, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, thank you for listening. We hope and pray that you have a great Thanksgiving and that this week you can really enjoy time with your family, time alone, whatever it is that you're going to do. But above all else, that you can really focus on the things that, even if this is the worst year of your life, there's still something to be thankful for. And so just this week, man, just really want to encourage you, listener, to be able to think about the things that you're thankful for and the goodness of God, even in the worst times of your life and obviously in the best times of your life. Amen. The goodness and consistency of God in all things, and that he's worthy to be praised and celebrated and followed above all else. He's worthy to be followed and stick with him and stick by his side. So thank you for listening.
Wait, should we do the song? Praise
no, we're not doing that. All right, guys. Oh yeah, still doing a fundraiser. So you could. This is important. Okay. So we're still doing a fundraiser. You go to redroots.org if you want to donate to that, or write us and ask more questions about that. Yeah. So thank you for listening. We will. I'm trying to think. I'll make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I'm guarantee I'm forgetting something. But we have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff for that. So anyways, thank you for listening. We appreciate your time. Happy Thanksgiving. Have an excellent week and enjoy your time. Yeah. You'll see us next week. Provecho.